Did you make yourself in the city financially independent before going into politics?
Stupidly, sadly, I got involved. I first stood for election age 29, so whilst I had a career that was going quite well, no. If I'd waited another 5 or 6 years, things might have been different. And I sometimes ask myself, why on earth have I done this? But it was just an absolute belief that it simply isn't right that we're signed up to a political project that I don't think has got any real hope of ever working.
But the decision to withdraw from the European Union, if we ever come to take that decision, will be taken in Westminster, not in Strasbourg. So why are you in the European Parliament drawing a salary and expenses?
Because for 25 years we've been sending people to Brussels and Strasbourg, and what have we had from them? Nothing. A sort of conspiracy of silence about the European institutions, about how much they cost, about the way things work. And actually, all the while we're in the European Union, it's vital that we've got some voices in the European Parliament speaking back here. For example, the whole question of enlargement of the EU. The 8 Eastern European countries that came in, Romania and Bulgaria this year that have come in, that wasn't voted on in Westminster. That was voted on and debated in Strasbourg.
Not a tad hypocritical to be doing that?
Well, far from it. I mean, we saw Irish nationalists in the 19th century doing it in the UK Parliament. The fact that
they wanted to make Ireland independent.
That's absolutely right. And the fact that we've been there, the fact that we've been witness to what's gone on, it's ironic, I'll accept that, but we had to go there to be heard here. And I think it's been a very successful strategy.
But, well, you say that, but you've made no progress where it really matters. You did very well in the 2004 European elections, very well. But come 2005, only a year later, in the general election, you got only 2% of the vote and no seats.
Well, that was a very tough election for us. We just finished a European election campaign that had exhausted us physically and financially, and we were in no fit state to fight a big general election campaign. And we'd also been through 6 or 7 very difficult months with a very high-profile member of the party, Robert Kilroy-Silk, whose divorce from UKIP was a long and painful one, and divided parties that are busy having arguments don't make progress.
You admitted a few days ago that your party has, quote, a lunatic fringe. Who are they, and what are you doing about them?
Well, all parties have lunatic fringes. Make absolutely no mistake about that.
I think you may have more than
well, don't forget, you know, that you form a party and you have a meeting in a local village hall, and someone walks in through the door and says, I've got time, I want to volunteer, and you say, marvellous, become our branch secretary, or, you know, do some work for us. So, developing maturity and keeping the wrong people out, it's not an easy thing to do. What we are doing, for one, is that we will absolutely make sure that the extremist racist fringe who attempt from time to time to infiltrate, and we have suffered from this, we will make absolutely sure that they are driven out of the party. And the same goes for some people that join UKIP who've got a big religious agenda. For example, the anti-Catholic type agenda that, you know, I get these emails that I should be denouncing the Pope and all the rest of it. Well, sorry, that's not going to happen. We're going to be a non-racist, non-sectarian party.
Do you still have a racist element in the party?
Every political party has a racist element within it. Let's not delude ourselves about that. All I will tell you is this. We will make absolutely sure that every single person that stands for us as a candidate, whether it's in local elections, general elections, or European elections, everybody that even holds the most minor of branch posts will be forced to fill in a declaration to say that they are not a racist and they've never been a member of the BNP or what we regard to be any other extremist organisation.
When one of your members of the European Parliament complained that most women today no longer clean behind the fridge, was that one of your lunatic fringe, or was that one of your more sane members?
Well, I mean, of course, that was Godfrey Bloom, and he was making a joke. Now, I know that what we're expecting in politics today is incredibly dull people, where nobody dares tell a joke at all. Churchill, of course, wouldn't survive for 5 minutes in today's politics. Yeah, Godfrey Bloom made a flip remark, which everybody picked up on, but actually, he was making, behind that, quite a serious point, that all these maternity benefits, far from helping women, in terms of small businesses, women are now being deliberately discriminated against because of that legislation. So, OK, you know, that was his first day as an MEP when he made that comment. He probably shouldn't have said it. It was intended as a joke and it backfired a little bit. But let's not forget that we've not had people in UKIP who've been professional politicians. You know, Godfrey was a fund manager in the City of London. So you're going to get comments from time to time that people will pick up on.
Well, when your former deputy leader speculated that Britain might one day have to fight its way out of the European Union? Mainstream or lunatic fringe?
Not a very clever thing to say. If you go forwards and look 20 years hence, he, of course, was really mirroring some of the comments made by Gerry Adams and Sinn Féin, who, I mean, Sinn Féin have made it very clear that they want a united Ireland, but they want that united Ireland outside of the European Union. And we know the kind of tactics that have been used by organisations like that in the past. So, I mean, I don't doubt that if we do suppress public opinion in this and every other country, we may be storing up problems for the future, but it wasn't a very wise comment.
But if we voted to leave, if we did vote to leave...
When we vote to leave.
All right, in your view, when? We would be allowed to leave. We wouldn't have to mobilise the British Army and fight our way back out of Dunkirk again.
Well, no, not as it stands at the moment. And of course, you're right. Right at this moment in time, leaving the European Union is an easy thing to do. We've just celebrated the 25th anniversary of Greenland leaving the European Union and renegotiating a trade deal. And that is what we can do, it's what we should do, and I believe there is slowly a wave of public opinion building that that's what we should do.
Now, you advocate immediate withdrawal from the European Union. How long in practice would it take, in your view, if it ever came to that?
24 hours, perhaps.
But there's surely...
All we have to do.
But there's a massive unraveling
No.
should be done.
What we have to do is to pass a piece of legislation in Parliament. Now, in my opinion, that would happen after a national referendum. That is the most likely way that this is going to happen. That literally could go through the House of Commons and House of Lords in the space of a day. OK, we'll give it a week if you like. When we do that, we're then in a position to renegotiate a sensible free trade deal with the other countries of the European Union. Now, that's something that they want to do. You know, I've spoken to commissioners about this, and they've made it very clear that if we wish to revert to a Swiss-style status, Giscard d'Estaing said it would be awful. Britain will become like Switzerland. Well, it doesn't sound too bad to me. But, you know, that can be done very quickly. The difficult part is this. We have over 100,000 pages of close-type legislation that has become British law over the course of the last 30 years. And the process of slowly but surely going through that and getting rid of the things that we think are unnecessary and costly, that could well take years.
But you're a former city man yourself. I mean, wouldn't even the very prospect of this involve huge and unnecessary disruption? I mean, there could even be a flight of capital, a run on the pound.
Do you know, I don't accept that at all. And we've heard some very silly arguments about the city. I mean, let's not forget that in 1999 we were told that unless Britain adopted the euro, the City of London would disappear. It would all go overnight to Frankfurt. Well, nothing like that's happened, and of course the city goes on from strength to strength.
Where would you place yourself in the British political tradition? You've ruled out any analogy with the BNP.
Most certainly.
And you were categorical about that. What about being in the tradition of Enoch Powell? Would that appeal to you?
There were many things that Enoch Powell stood for that, yes, I would find appealing. And of course, he and Tony Benn and one or two others who were considered to be absolute nutcases in the referendum campaign in 1975 were making all the right arguments and made all the right predictions.
Do you have many non-white members?
Yes, we do. Don't ask me how many. We don't count. We don't operate quotas. We don't have positive discrimination. One thing I do think is I do think that there's going to be a lot more Asian business types that join the Independence Party because they're the ones that are really suffering the full burden of excessive European regulation.
After the next election, who would you prefer to be the Prime Minister? Gordon Brown or David Cameron?
Doesn't make any difference to me at all. I mean, certainly, if I put my hat back on as a commodity broker in the city, it would make no difference to me at all, because all of the regulations, all of the rules by which I operated in that city of London are now made in Brussels. Westminster has nothing to do with it. It doesn't matter who we vote for at an election, so it really doesn't make any difference.
Nigel Farage, thank you for being on Straight Talk.
Thank you. To find out more about who we are and what we stand for, go to the UK Independence Party website at www.ukip.org.